So you can see there's a massive wires in there. So it's quite a lot I need to have a little look at and label up and see what I need and what I don't need. There's a few things, for example, like this. This is the clutch. So that that's a clutch switch. So that would have gone in there, and when it's fitted in, the button would be depressed and therefore break the circuit and the bike won't start. And then when you operate the clutch lever, it would let the switch out, and then you get a circuit to start the bike. So that was already out when I got the bike, and this is an aftermarket lever now, so this doesn't operate regardless. So I'm just going to strip it out. I might tidy it up for future use, but you know, obviously we've got a circuit there because the bike starts. If I literally went and cut this wire off, that would break the circuit, because clearly this switch is still making a circuit. So I still need to be careful with that. Anyway, I'm just going to have a little fiddle around and see what I can do to label this up and get it apart and get it off. And we'll carry on. And we've got the actuator switch, which would have operated, dropped it, the petcock, so that it would put it on reserve and take it off reserve. So that's no longer used, and it plugs in, I think, right there. So I think we'll just pull this block connector off and pull this little side light off, and that's really the only thing that's coming to the front part of the headlamp. Pretty much we can figure out what all the wires are doing from there. Wiggle, wiggle. Nice. So there you go, I've just labelled it indicator negative, which hopefully will be okay for a bit. The other one will go in the bin. And there. Let's just pull this off. We'll go and attach that to the actual light unit. Right, so I've dealt with a fair bit of this. You can see I've just labelled up. I've got headlight, park light negative there. I've got park light positive there. What else have I got? I've got offside indicator positive, and I've got indicators negative and near side indicator positive. So they're all labelled up okay. You've got a couple of box connectors up there, which are just all part of the loom, which need to just be disconnected and poked through the top and bottom holes and then reconnected around the back. Same with quite a few of these little single wire connectors. So the only one I need to deal with is the main headlamp connector now, so I just need to take that off. So it just seems like what you've got is a feed coming in. I'm kind of guessing I'd need to look at the wiring diagram in detail. You've got a feed coming in to the headlight and then going off out. That might be the main beam, so going off to the warning light possibly. And then you've got a feed coming in for the headlight, and then you've got a common coming out. There seems to be two commons, which is a bit odd. So yeah, just need to pull these wires apart, and if you just slip the back off this box connector, they should pull out, but might be a little bit stiff. So anyway, I'll try that, and I'll just need to sort of test all this wiring when I'm ready to put the new light on. So they're solid in there. I'm just gonna cut this green, yellow, and black. Yeah, pretty much. There you go. Just place that back on there. So I've left plenty of wire on there to, if somebody wants to use this same connector, they've got plenty to reconnect to. It's pretty obvious what they need to do with it, so it's all good. Such a fiddly job. I don't want to go pulling any of these labels off either. Actually, what I might do is just undo that mounting bracket at the bottom and then pull the thing away from the wiring, because it's so clustered. It's very tight for space. Let's do that. There you go. It's quite a nice unit, that. Pretty clean. Sell that on. Anyway, so let's find. Let's just line the holes up. Nice headlight. There you go, one fully functioning headlight anyway. Very nice. So, yeah, just massive wire that's left over now. This is what would have been coiled around inside the headlamp. I can't obviously tuck that back into the new headlamp because you can see it's considerably smaller. There isn't any room or space for it. There's no sort of openings or anything like that. So, but what I can do is I can, if you look at this wire here, this part of the loom here, which just goes into that red box connector, I can just cut it all the way back, and the same with that side of the loom and the bit down there. It'll just need a bit of work, just to sort of tidy it up and reduce it really. Just in the same way I did with the back when I was doing the indicator. Well, for reasons I won't bore you with, it's all pictures from here on in. But we've got the headlight on, and it's mostly just wire tidying now. You can see the bracket I made there. I've just got this little old Imperial socket in there just as a little bolster to stop it collapsing in on itself. So yeah, it just took a bit of work and faffing, but never mind. I removed this just to get access, put it back on. But I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, just a little bit of work to the cluster of wires behind really. It's just a matter of nipping and tucking and shortening and so on. You can just see there's an awful lot there that just needs to be gotten rid of. I used masking tape to make these labels up, but it's very temporary. They tend to get wet, and the ink runs and they slip off, and you just, yeah, it's not a good idea. So gonna need to fit new box connectors here. As you see, these bits will just tidy up into the loom. I've just removed the cabling. That's the actuator switch and that clutch switch I showed you earlier. So firstly, we just got to deal with this side of the loom where that red box connector slots in. Just looking at the colours of the wires going into the box connectors. On this one, just two of the wires were both red and white, so I had to label them up so that when I shortened it down, there you go. That's just the labelling using the label maker. It's just far better. It won't fade or come off. And there you go. So I'm just going to pull that out and label that up so I can see which wire goes into where. Now these are the new connectors that I use. You can see I only need one side of this block connector, but they're essentially just non-insulated. And there you go, that's as you can see, it's just where I've labelled it up. So right there, I've just used a couple of just random symbols so that when I cut it through, I can just match the ends up again, so just so I know which red and white goes into where, essentially. And then I'll just use this one to follow as a template. There you go, so that's the non-insulated terminals there, and just the relevant crimper. Just make sure you get them on good and tight. Do it in the correct way. There you go, and that's all back on and considerably shortened. And it's really important you make sure that you get these little blade connectors in the right way up before you go connecting it all back up again. There you go. So I just did that. I just had to spend a bit of time nipping and tucking and shortening and so on. And then at the end, with what was left, I just used insulating tape to just to cover it. I went through a load of these as I was testing lights. And that's pretty much it, really. You can see, there you go, in the main, all the wiring has disappeared there. It's not a perfect job. I think I'll still need to do a little bit of work. It looks a little bit of a cluster still, just wrapped up. But it'll pass the MOT. And I think you can just see there the smoky indicators that I've fitted as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.